Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wake Forest Summer Immersion Program's Fireside Chat Series. I am Betsy Schneider. I am Program Director of the Wake Forest Summer Immersion Program, and I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Michael Pisapia, who has led our Policy and Politics Institute for many years. Dr. Pisapia, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Well, awesome. What's up, Betsy? It's really nice to be here. This is going to be fun. I've got my cup of coffee, and I love to talk about our institute. So let's do it. Let's dive in.
Awesome. Well, why don't you kick us off by telling us a little bit about who you are, your background, and what inspired you to lead the Policy and Politics Institute?
Okay, who am I? Well, I guess when I was in college, I studied political philosophy. So that's a big piece of me. I love thinking about like the big political ideals, like what does it mean to have freedom, or what does it mean to have power, or in our society, we want it to be like a just society or bring about equality for everybody. So I loved thinking about those big issues. Um, when I was, that led me to get a PhD in political science, because that's one of the fields where you get to study this stuff and think about it. Um, and then while I was teaching political science at Wake, it can be very academic. And there's a piece of me, because I love these big ideas, that I wanted to be specifically with students who had big opinions about these things. And then it's not just the ideals, but it's also trying to bring it into action in the real world. And so I noticed, even in my political science classes, it's kind of an elite group of students who really like to talk about the ideas, really want to come up with a specific plan to change something. And I wanted to just work with kids like that. So talking with folks at Wake, we created the Institute. It was just an opportunity to have a selected group of students who care a lot about bringing about equality, freedom, and justice, and also thinking practically about how to make it happen.
Yeah, and I love working with you, Dr. Pisapia, because the environment that you create in your classroom makes students who love to talk about these big ideas feel very safe, and they get comfortable quickly. And I think that is a very special skill that you have. So we have been so lucky to have you serve as our academic leader for these many years, and just having the Policy and Politics Institute evolve each year and kind of grow and change as our
Yeah.
political environment has grown and changed throughout the past couple of years. So it's been a pleasure. Why don't you kind of talk us through what students can expect on a typical day in the Policy and Politics Institute? So walk us through some of the discussions that students might have, maybe some of the guest presenters they'll interact with, or kind of what's a day in the life.
Yeah, so it's changed a little bit over the years. The last summer and then this coming summer, especially with so much big events happening in the world, wars, and now with the current president, big trade battles and things like that. We're doing a little more international politics than in the first few years, and I think students really enjoy that. So now, in the first day, the thing that we really dive into is to get students to think about what it means to live in a nation state, in a world of nation states, and how they interact with each other. Most of the students coming to the program are American citizens so that is to say, we're people in a very powerful country that has a lot of influence around the world. So on that first day, we think about really what does it mean to be a citizen in the most powerful country in the world, and to think about how we connect with other countries on the global stage. So when the students come in, they're from all around the country. On each day, it's not like students are just listening to me lecture. We start right off with them getting into groups of around 4 or 5 students. I'll put a topic in front of them to discuss in their small groups, and then typically coming out of that, people will share. And the students who select this institute, they're typically ready to talk and to share. their ideas. So, this coming summer, on the first day, we might talk about some of the stuff that the current administration is doing with adopting, English as the only language or the official language in the United States. That really can touch on issues of national identity. So we pick a topic that everybody, even if they're not an expert, they can, they have an opinion and they can kind of get into it. Uh, on a given day, we might, in addition to having those discussions in class, bring in a guest speaker who's an expert. Wake Forest has one of the nation's best politics and international affairs departments, so we typically have brought in a faculty member to share and lead a discussion, including on international affairs. So we might bring in a guest speaker from the Wake Forest Politics Department. We might bring in people with actual political experience who are currently serving in government to bring their knowledge and expertise. We've had ambassadors, governors, senators, former senators. So on each day, there's a theme, there's a discussion, there's a guest speaker, sometimes a field trip that builds on it, and it is all working towards on the Thursday and the Friday of the week, the students working in groups to prepare a policy proposal that they will bring to a government to try to bring about it to try to bring about a change. And then on the last day, they all present their proposals to each other, and it's great. I mean, I think you've seen some, and the proposals are really, like, I'm blown away by the quality of the students who come to the program and the quality of the programs that the policy proposals that they present.
Yeah, I'm always so blown away by the policy proposals and the presentations and just how students have really been able to kind of glean and learn a lot from the conversations, not only with their peers throughout the week, but
Mm-hmm.
like with the guest presenters as well. Or I feel like the conversations are just as rich when there's not a politician in the room, when there's not necessarily a faculty member in the room, but just like the very rich conversation that takes place in the classroom, just facilitated by you, but with students from all over the country and sometimes throughout the world. So that's probably one of
Yeah,
my favorite things.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the students are coming from all around the country. I mean, the profile of the students who come to the program it's pretty national distribution. We have students from as far away as California. We do have international students, typically in each week. And it's also pretty ideologically diverse as well. So, we do get, like you were kind of suggesting before, we do get great conversations between liberals and conservatives. And yes, I do pride myself on creating an environment where people can listen to one another and learn from one another, and they get along great. I mean, it's really fun. It's really a fun program. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. Well, you do a fantastic job at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question, what would you say are some of the most exciting experiences or unique field trips that students might participate in throughout this week? Kind of talk me through what are some of the highlights that you would mention.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and for the students, they typically have loved meeting with, like, people who actually are currently holding positions of power, I think. So we've gone to, we've gone to Raleigh, the state capital, where we've got to meet with state Supreme Court justices. Closer to home, right in Winston-Salem, there's a federal courthouse where we've gotten to meet with, one of the country's 600 district court judges that we have, 600 around the country, and then, a couple of them are just right here in Winston-Salem. And they've just, these high-ranking officials who are actually in government, they have deep careers with a lot of experience. The students get to talk to them about their experiences. And then especially, in matters of law and policy, they're just so well-versed. They can give real insight into the actual mechanics of, how policy gets made or how it gets challenged. And I enjoy that as well. I enjoy facilitating those conversations. So, yeah, those opportunities we get to meet with elected or appointed officials, I think those are really, really valuable.
Yeah, I would agree. And I just think that these are kind of the opportunities that a typical high school student, attending school doesn't get. So, when we say the summer immersion program, we are trying to
Mhm.
immerse them in some real world experiences. And by being able to engage with those high ranking officials, it's pretty neat.
It is, yeah.
Hear their perspectives and learn from their tenured careers.
Mhm.
Um, okay, let's talk about, you know, the summer immersion program. We have very many institutes. This upcoming summer, we're offering 23 different institutes ranging all over the place. But oftentimes, our students who are most interested in policy and politics are also interested in the Law Institute or the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute. So, um, talk to me about maybe why a student would be most interested in the Policy and Politics Institute specifically.
Yeah, there's definitely overlaps, and I think, students, the same student could very likely be interested in all three, and maybe they should do all three if they can, if they don't overlap. But I guess the main focus in this institute, the Policy and Politics Institute, is um, it definitely has this empowerment side and collaborative side where students are working together to make a policy proposal with a specific plan to bring it to the government to get the government then to make and enact the policy. So an unromantic way to say that is that we're sort of teaching them, we're working together to form an interest group, where they are actually, in a way, they're imagining themselves creating an organization that puts together a plan that then they take to the legislators to put into place. In other words, they're sort of like a lobbying organization, not lobbying um, uh, in the crude sense of, like high-powered wealthy people like meeting and having dinners, but an interest group organization that has a real concern of, interest of the public. They'll put together a specific plan that they put before the government to bring into effect. So I'm not totally familiar with the other programs, but speech and debate, I think, we're going to have discussions in our group, but we're not getting up there and like debating one another necessarily. We're like, you each take turns and like in the parliamentary style. Um, uh, there's probably some of that in the speech and the debate immersion program. And then in the law program, we are, of course, dealing with the law, but we get a lot of students who come to the program who have no interest in becoming lawyers or anything like that, which maybe the Law Institute is more suited for. This is, we're just citizens. We're just citizens who want to impact our government. And it doesn't matter if you go into law, if you go into medicine, if you go into teaching, if you go into farming, everybody, this institute fits for everybody because we're all citizens who can become empowered to make a change in the government, kind of thing. So it's yeah, it's very inclusive for all classes of people, all kinds of intellectual interests, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like how you said that, it's the Policy and Politics Institute is suited for citizens. Um,
Yeah.
I would also say that the Law Institute is very much kind of delving into all different types of law, not just specifically looking at policy and government. So,
Hmm.
we go and do mergers and acquisitions. We learn about that type of
Yeah.
law and like business
Okay.
law. And so the Law Institute is very much like learning about different types of law and what you can pursue and learning from different types of lawyers, whereas this is much more focused on government, politics,
And
politics.
active, yeah, it's sort of activism too, like
Yeah.
bringing the plan to the government to bring
Mhm.
about change. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I think that gives us a very good sense. We always get questions about that from students and also parents about, how can I differentiate between these? So that was really helpful. Okay, getting into the logistics of the institute. Where does this institute take place?
Oh man, the institute takes place on the beautiful Renolda campus of Wake Forest University, which is really a beautiful campus in the summertime. It's especially nice. And so, the students, stay in the dorms. They get the whole campus life and campus experience. Specifically, our class meetings will be in Kirby Hall, which is one of the academic buildings on campus, where it's sort of the social sciences building, and in the base, or in the first floor, is the sociology department, and then on the second floor is the economics department, and then on the third floor is the politics and international affairs department. And so we're in one of the classrooms in that building. It's a nice classroom. I always insist on having classrooms that have windows and sunlight, so it's a nice setup. Students can they do a lot of turning and getting into groups and talking with each other. Of course, it's outfitted with whiteboards and video and all of that. So it's a very nice classroom, and it's sort of the home base. But we get out of the classroom, we take some, not field trips, I guess, but we go to different places on the campus. We spend some time in the beautiful college library, ZSR it's called. We spend some time in the law building and the law library, just to kind of get around the campus. Then there are trips we take off of campus. We go into downtown Winston-Salem a couple of times to go to a restaurant. We typically meet with judges in Winston-Salem, either in the federal courthouse or the county and city courthouses. And then again, sometimes, we travel off of campus and out of the city to go into the state capitol, to Raleigh, and get to visit buildings there and things like that. So it's definitely campus-based, but we move around the campus, and we get off campus as well.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Dr. Pisapia, do students need to bring anything specific for this institute, or do they need to have prerequisites or be kind of prepared to come? Talk us through that.
Okay, yes. So they need to bring an open mind. Okay. Like, I know you mean more like materials, but yeah, seriously, they need to bring an open mind. They need to bring their curiosity. So I think students primarily need to come with an interest to talk to the other students that they're going to meet, and just I know people have all sorts of personality types, and every year, we get in a program like this much more. We get some very extroverted students and more introverted students. Everybody, though, who's curious can connect, and those connections will force. So just being ready to connect, that's the main thing. In terms of materials, we do want people to bring a laptop, because they're going to need that to do their research for the policy project. A pen and a pencil. I do recommend that students bring actual paper to write on, like in a notebook, because sometimes it's very nice to have those laptops closed, and then we're more face-to-face, and people can kind of jot down things that people are saying, and that's pretty much it. Bring an open mind, bring your curiosity, bring a laptop, bring a pen and a notebook.
Yeah, and maybe like a business casual outfit if we go to the
Oh yes, that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Go
So
to Raleigh.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And sometimes students also need to bring an ID with them, because there's typically security to get into the federal courthouse or certain government buildings. So either a school ID or a driver's permit or a license are all helpful to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point about dress, when we do go into a courthouse or something like that, it's kind of more business casual. And then on the last day, when we do the policy presentation, it is nice to have students imagine themselves as being people with power and dressed to look like you have a position of power and influence. And so that's nice to put on the last day of the week.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for that. Okay, we're moving into my favorite section of the Fireside Chat, learning more about you, Dr. Pisapia. So tell us about a fun fact or a quirky hobby, hidden talent that students might be really surprised to know about you.
Okay. The thing that's in my mind that's a little surprising about me, Monday, just a couple of days ago, we're recording on a Wednesday, so 2 days ago was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. But the interesting thing about that is I was actually born in Brazil. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And so I actually have 2 citizenships. I only lived there till I was 2. My parents happened to be living there when I was born, and but just having, the connection there, and I'd have like a passport and all that. I think I even have the potential. I have 5 children. Maybe that's another surprising thing. My youngest is 8 up to 18. But I think through me, they're potentially all could get Brazilian citizenship, which why not? Why not have more than one citizenship? It's a real privilege to have a citizenship. So yeah, just that little accident of me being born there has given me a connection to that place and that culture. And I love soccer. I love Brazilian soccer players. I love Brazilian music. I tried to make myself a Brazilian stew called feijoada on Monday, which came out okay. It should have tasted better, but so that's one thing that popped into my head.
I love that. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you more questions about that later.
Okay.
Okay, so now rapid fire questions. You ready?
Yeah. All right. Maybe not.
Okay. Favorite book?
Uh, Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I could say a lot about that novel, but I'll let you go through the rapid fire if you like.
Okay, favorite movie or TV show?
This one will sound weird. There's a movie on Netflix called Sea Beast, which is an animated movie about big sea creatures that like hunters fight. And I don't know why, but I love this movie. I watch it with my kids. I don't know the animation studio, but it just has a big sense of adventure. Sea Beast. If you haven't seen it, watch it over the summer by the ocean, I suppose. Good movie.
Okay, adding it to my list.
Mhm.
What are you currently listening to? Either music, podcast, audiobooks?
Oh, well, my regular kind of one of the podcasts I listen to a lot is called This Jungian Life. I really am into psychology, and everyone's heard of Sigmund Freud, but there's this other guy, Carl Jung, who's a very interesting psychologist. And there's a podcast of 3 Jungian psychologists, and each episode is just on a different topic or emotion. Like there's one on sadness that I recently listened to, or ambition, and they discuss the topic from a psychological perspective. I love that podcast.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite type of food is definitely Indian food. And probably like I like vindaloos a lot. But yeah, curry and spices Indian food is my favorite.
Do you have any pets?
Do you have a pet? We have 2 pets. We have a bunny, which is a very large bunny. Every time someone sees it, they're surprised how big he is. All white bunny with it's an albino bunny with red little um, very big ears. His name is Cool Whip. And then we have a parakeet named Johann after Johann Sebastian Bach, who's
Didn't
blue.
know I didn't know this about your animals
Yeah,
either.
there you go. A bunny and a
What
parakeet.
what is your favorite hobby?
Well, there's 2. I mean, I get does sports count? I love playing soccer. I try to play soccer as much as possible. My kids play soccer. I watch a lot of soccer. The team I root for some reason is Leeds United. It's a team over in Leeds. Actually, there's a Wake Forest connection. The reason I follow it, there was a Wake Forest player who played on the Wake Forest soccer team. Jack Harrison is his name. He left after his freshman year, but he went and played for this team. And so ever since I've been following Leeds United. So soccer.
Awesome. And the last rapid fire question. What is your favorite place that you've ever traveled?
Um, Probably Kyoto, Japan. I
Mm.
When I was in high school, I read Shogun by James Clavell. There's a new series out on that, and that made me love Japan. I studied Japanese for a year. I finally got to go to Japan, and Kyoto is just this. It's a city you want to go to if you really want to see like the Japanese temples, the more traditional stuff. It's just a beautiful city. Go there again if I could. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that it's magical. Well, great. Well, thanks for all of sharing all of that information. I jotted down a few things so that I can listen to this podcast, watch Sea Beast. So thanks for sharing all of that. All right, we are winding down our fireside chat.
Okay.
So, if you had to describe the Policy and Politics Institute in 3 words, what would they be?
Okay. Empowering. Uh, so, and that has to do with your voice, I think. Finding your voice, using your voice to demand change that you want to see. Empowering. Uh, Thought-provoking. Is that two? That's a hyphenated word.
Hyphen. No,
Thought-provoking.
that counts. Yep.
And fun. I think it is fun. I mean, I have a lot, the students have a lot of fun. I know I have a lot of fun. It's just fun to see them get together and to talk and to come up with their proposals. I think it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You create a fun environment.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so.
All right. You kind of touched on this earlier, but finish
Mhm.
this sentence. You should experience the Policy and Politics Institute if you're someone who blank.
Ooh, okay. I would say, okay, if you're someone who has opinions or even just feelings, maybe you don't have formulated opinions, but you got a feeling about what the people in power are doing. And maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it, but you've sort of got like an itch to, you know, build upon or correct or change, all those people with all the power. You like what they're doing, you don't like what they're doing, and you want to build on it or you want to change it. So if you sort of have an eye for what's up with the government and what are they doing in our lives. Yeah.
I like that. That's like you don't have to have an opinion yet, just a feeling or like an itch
No,
about
that's it because
wanting to
politics
engage.
is very emotional. So like, like
Mhm.
people like even if it's like I hate that guy or in politics, people have really strong feelings, right? So even just like a strong feeling, you can't maybe articulate why you think it's something is just or unjust, but you have a feeling about it. Now in the institute you can formulate it a little bit and with
Yeah,
some of your peers. So
yeah, I love that. What is your favorite thing about working with the high school students in this program?
mm, um well I think like higher ed compared to secondary ed with high school students, a lot of times as the teacher, you get to kind of bring up a topic or go over something for the first time. So that little light of excitement to learn something new. I love to see that little spark, like a little light bulbs going
Mhm.
off, and that you definitely get that with high school students. And then I would say though, specifically the high school students who are interested in a program like this. This high school, I found that the high school students, the ones that I teach, and at this program and where I teach, high school students, they're the ones who care about the issues, they're so good at putting together slideshows and like they really know what they're doing. So creating a space to let them do their thing and just seeing them do it and then realizing how young from my perspective how they're just teenagers. Some of them don't even have the right to vote yet, and man are they ready to exercise that right. So it's it's just exciting. It's exciting to see young people um knowing what they're doing, knowing what they're caring about, knowing what they care about, and then acting on it together. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I love that light bulb moment. That's part of the reason why I love the summer immersion program because I get to see
Yeah,
lots and witness lots of light bulbs throughout the course of the summer. All right,
absolutely.
our last question. Thank you so
Uh-huh.
much, Dr. Pisapia, for joining me and answering all of these questions. But the last one of this chat is
Hmm.
why wake?
Well, oh, that one's easy because I thought about that one before. So um, personally, I went to a very small liberal arts college and loved it. I went to Amherst College, very small school. I think they still only have about 2,000 students total, and that's it, just one small college. So for undergraduate, I went to a small college, but then to get my PhD in political science, I went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison, big, huge university. And what Wake really does, one of the best in the country. What it does really well is it fits right in the middle of those two types of higher education experiences. It really does feel like all of the best benefits of a small college, the close proximity to professors, where you're working with the professors and not graduate students, that a small college has. Wake has that. And because it's a university with other schools, like a law school and a divinity school and a medical school, and then plus it's a Division I school with Division I sports, it also has that kind of bigger university vibe. So it's the best of both worlds. I mean, it really is. It's got a perfect fit. If you can't, yeah. So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I agree. But no one else has shared that, and I totally agree with that. So
Yeah.
good answer. Well, thank you all for joining us for this
Yeah.
fireside chat. Thank you, Dr. Pisapia, for
Of
talking to
course.
me about the Policy and Politics Institute. As always, feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. But thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thanks for hosting me.